Welcome to HR Voices, real talk with people leaders who are in it every day. We get into the messy stuff, the challenges that keep them up at night, and how they're actually fixing them. No corporate fluff, just smart conversations for people who care about people. HR Voices is brought to you by AllVoices, the platform that cuts hours of manual HR work with step-by-step workflows and AI to assist with investigations, performance improvement, accommodations, leave requests, and more, so you can get back to the human side of HR. Welcome to HR Voices by AllVoices. Today we've got Pam Brown with us. She is the head of people and culture at Crunch Fitness. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative of being here.
Oh, yes. Thank you for joining us. So at HR Voices, we are all about real talk. And so we're just going to jump right on into it. And I wanted to start by asking you, what is the biggest challenge that people teams like yours are facing in this moment?
Well, I think that people teams today are being asked to be the culture keepers, the change navigators, and the strategy partners. And that's a lot of asks. And technology is also coming more and more into it. So the challenge is really sequencing the work so that it's not just the urgent tasks that we're working on, but also the important tasks. And it could mean choosing to strengthen your manager capability as one example before jumping into a big change initiative. So sometimes it means putting things on the back burner, but I would say that's the biggest challenge.
Yes, I hear that a lot. I think it's really easy, just the scope of HR is so big that you could keep yourself busy, your entire team busy, just sort of in reactive mode or administrative mode. So how do you sort of navigate that?
So I try to lead with ruthless prioritization and focus. So it means aligning the team on what good looks like and also saying no sometimes to well-intentioned distractions. You really have to learn, there's a whole book called Yes and you really have to learn how to, maybe instead of saying no, we say yes and. This is the timeline that we're looking at if we want to do this. And so as an example, could mean accelerating the launch of a critical training program ahead of a different initiative and being unapologetic, a good business partner, but unapologetic about the ruthless prioritization.
Yes. What are you ruthlessly prioritizing right now? Is there any sort of big projects you have going on that are taking the lead over some of the more distracting back burner tasks?
So we're always excited about top and bottom line growth. So anything that impacts has the biggest, we look for what has the biggest impact on top and bottom line business growth. So it really means listening to your CEO, your president, your COO, your CFO on what are the priorities and strategies of the company that are going to help us move the needle the fastest. And then really tying everything we do in people and culture to one of those strategies.
Awesome. Yeah. So, what advice would you have for other HR leaders who are listening to us right now and navigating the exact same challenge? It's sort of one of those easier said than done, right? What advice do you have to sort of make that shift from being a little bit more maybe reactive or doing things the way they've always been done to getting that strategic alignment? I think I hear also from HR people that sometimes it's hard to get a seat at the table to even sort of be a partner in the moment when those decisions are being made. Do you have any advice for folks who might feel that way?
So I do. I'm very fortunate to work in an organization where I don't have to fight for a seat at the table. I have that, but I've worked for organizations where HR maybe wasn't viewed in the same way. So the best advice that I could give and the way that I've approached my career is that I'm a business person first, and I happen to specialize in people and culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you can speak to owning your piece of the business and like an executive or a business owner, I think it makes a huge difference to the leaders around you and your credibility. So you have to be able to speak to the numbers and you have to be able to speak the language of the business. So when I joined Crunch, I had never worked in fitness before. I had a background in financial services followed by insurance. So I dedicated myself to learning the language of the business of fitness, and that will sharpen your credibility.
Did you have any partners in the business that helped you out, or did you do that sort of independently?
I had so many partners in the business. So everybody was excited to see me trying. It's kind of like sometimes if you go to a foreign country and you speak a little bit of the language, people are going
Yeah.
to want to help you.
Yeah.
That's been my experience there too. And that's what I did. So I got myself a personal trainer. I got myself to the gym 3 days a week. I actually have a happy weight loss story that goes along with my professional journey at Crunch. And the team, seeing me make that effort, wanted to help me. And so I had help from a sales leader, an operations leader, and many different partners across the company. Sometimes when I go to a gym, I went to a gym in Texas and I post a lot on LinkedIn and on Instagram. So that leader happened to follow my social media and told me it was inspirational. And so getting the front line to believe in you and also your knowledge and impact makes a big difference.
Yeah. I love that. It sounds like you were leading with like vulnerability and connection, not coming in and saying, I know this area. Like, teach me about your area of expertise. I love that. Yeah.
It goes a long way.
Yeah, that's great. And then in terms of your personal story, if you don't mind sharing, was that sort of coincidental or was that sort of intentional?
So what got me to the gym was wanting to learn the business. And my plan was just to go once a week, work with a personal trainer and have that complement my 30, 60, 90-day onboarding plan. And what I found out and what I've learned is people build connection and community in the gym. And so that was the first thing that hit me. And I wanted to go more than once a week. And there's also a special relationship with the personal trainer. And that was also a lesson learned for me. When my first personal trainer moved on in his career to a different company, I fell off the wagon a bit from my commitment. And then I got myself recommitted. I've now been with my trainer, Sean, for a year. And in that year, I lost about 60 pounds, which is a big number. But it's more exciting than that is how much weight I can lift and that I'm still going 3 days a week, that I still have this commitment, that I'm inspiring. I've had a 25-year career, so that inspiring other people that have had long careers and think they can't just get started, but you can.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, are there any sort of trends shaping you've spent a lot of time getting to know your industry and your specific workforce in the gym. Are there any trends that are shaping the future of your industry or your workforce that you're excited about or maybe even a little bit unsure of?
Definitely. I think something that's shaping probably every area, not just fitness, but if I turned my head backwards towards financial service and insurance, where I got my start, technology is accelerating the pace for everybody. It's important that we also focus on the people. And I would say that the big trend is really predictive analytics. So if we can predict what our members want and what they're going to do, that could really help us with growth. And of course, as a people leader, my interest is also in predictive analytics around retention, for example. So I mentioned the special relationship between our members and their personal trainers. And I gave my own example of how I fell off a bit when there was a change. If you think about the cost of turnover, it's even higher when relationships are at play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, can you tell me a little bit more about how you're leveraging predictive analytics in your team?
So we're really just getting started,
Hmm.
but all of the payroll systems now have predictive analytics. And at the touch of a button, we can figure out if there's a gym in particular or a district within the country and the world that is having particularly high turnover. And then we can peel the onion back using stay conversations and exit conversations. And the pace that it can all be analyzed through technology is just much faster. I remember 20 years ago having to go page by page through surveys, and today we have AI.
Yes. Wow. How do you technology is moving so fast. I'm in marketing and it's transforming every channel, every process. What advice do you have to stay ahead of technology? How do you sort of understand what's out there and what you should be leveraging? Do you have any advice for other leaders?
I do. I think that I personally try to find experts in the field. You can't be an expert in everything. So it's important to keep your experts close. If you're lucky enough to work for a company that has in-house technology experts, I would find ways to partner with them and find out. I always like to ask myself when I'm networking in general, but also internally, are there things I can offer the person that's the AI wizard? If there are, my first question is, how can I help you? Coming from a people area, there are often lots of ways I can help. So maybe they're building their team and they need recruiting help, or maybe their team needs a development plan. And if there are things that I can offer from a people lens, I'll do that before asking for help. And I think that that often drives a great relationship. At least it's a good start. And I keep my experts close. We don't have the in-house expert, so I have found an external expert who is part of my network and has helped me a ton with advice. And now I'm at a stage where I can probably hire her to come in and give the whole company the foundations of AI and also some basic policies so that we're not just writing the rules by ourselves.
Right. So with all these expert support and tools that you're trying, does anything sort of stand out as, it doesn't have to be a tool or an automation. Sometimes it can be a framework or a process. But is there anything that you're experimenting with or that you've done recently that you'd like to share? Any sort of experimental or discoveries?
So we did do an engagement survey a couple of years ago, and AI definitely helped parse through all of the data because you're collecting feedback from thousands of people, and you really want to pull out the themes and patterns. And so I started to describe earlier that 20 years ago, you were going page by page by hand. Then came Excel that made things a little bit better, and you could at least sort and look for themes that way. Now with AI, it can really pull out, here are your positives, here are your areas for development, here are your watch outs if there are any. And there always are some. And then it could also give you some information on what you might want to do next. Also, there are platforms and tools, a lot of different ones that have that technology built in. There are engagement platforms. And the plan next, because we pulled out, we wanted to improve on communication and recognition. And so the next piece of the puzzle is going to be a pulse survey on those two more focused topics as opposed to the big broad survey. And we are finding that we've lowered retention by focusing on those things. We're communicating at every company update on what has changed and how we're using that feedback to grow. And lower turnover is great for the bottom line, which is the business language you want to be able to speak to. It's not just it is feel good. It is great for our culture, but culture can be a very hidden activator for the P&L.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, and I like how you're tying that back. Everything that you're doing is tying back to the bottom line, which gets us right back to the beginning of this conversation. That's a nice full circle moment.
Yes, definitely.
So I see, just as someone getting to know you a little bit better and chatting with you, it seems like a common thread throughout like your approach to leadership is authenticity and relationships. With every question I asked you, it sort of went back to like giving before taking and making sure you're in the field and building the relationship and understanding the business. So I just want to call you out for that.
Thank you.
Is there any sort of parting thoughts that sort of sum up your approach to leadership? Any parting words of advice you want to give to our audience about your career, your experience, and anything to leave us with?
Definitely. I think that authenticity, collaboration, and also data-driven decision making are pillars in my own philosophy. And also, I try to be a multiplier. So to me, a multiplier is somebody that can certainly the top and bottom line of revenue is what we always want to multiply, but also multiplying the culture in finding development opportunities at every level. That really strikes engagement, and engagement will help your company grow. So it is all tied together. My feedback for people just getting started is probably going to be networking, 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 because you have to start by getting your foot in the door. So networking, when I teach, I always get the question, well, how can I network better? That's the hardest thing to do. And I would go back to what can you do for the people that you're networking with? Start there, and then they're going to want to help you.
Hmm. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Pam. It's been an awesome, quick conversation.
Excellent.
And
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Take care.